Welcome back to the conclusion of our interview with Calvin Correli, CEO and founder of the multi-million-dollar software company, Simplero. In today's episode, he's going to discuss defining your own success and why it's extremely important to link your mind and your body for success in any area of life.
Welcome to this edition of Peak Performers Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Thor Conklin here. We give you the tricks, the tips, the tools, the strategy, the technology, and the psychology peak performers use in order to get more done and execute at the highest level. If you know what to do but struggle with getting it all done, or simply want to raise your game to the next level, this podcast is for you. Sit back and enjoy. What do you wish that you had started earlier?
My personal growth, personal development journey, definitely. I had this belief that that first of all, I was, my self-worth was minus $1 billion or something on some scale. I don't know. But like I was extremely unworthy, unfit to exist. Basically, me breathing was stealing the air from more worthy people. That was like how bad it was. And it took me a long time before I was willing and ready to kind of open up and talk to a therapist and talk to a coach and start to do that work with myself. And the main reason was that I had this belief that not only was I super, super unworthy, it was also like you had to prove yourself by being extremely successful by the age of 30. And we're talking like Bill Gates, Steve Jobs level success here, without help. Like if you had to see a coach or a therapist or something of that nature, you had failed by default. So even if you then went on to achieve this, that would have been a failure. I don't know where this came from, but that was kind of my mindset, my beliefs. You had to do this, you had to do it by yourself on your own to prove yourself. And so that held me away from getting the help that I needed for a very long time. And I'm so glad, that I finally did, because my life is unrecognizable from then. And it's one of those things where it's like, you stick the tip of your index finger in the water and then you're like, ooh, I'm really doing this. I'm seeing a therapist now. Ooh, hello, see, look at me. And then you get a little further and you maybe stick in the whole finger and then kind of the hand. And like, as my life has progressed, I'm now like all in this water. I mean, I have a healer that I work with that I see every week, and we're in email and text contact, and she's supporting and working on my energy all the time. And I've see a couple therapists or like coaches or helpers or whatever each week basically, and I do a lot of stuff now, and I'm getting so much from it. But it was definitely a journey. I was talking to someone that I was coaching just last week, and I was like, dude, you need to get in your body and actually feel what those feelings are that are underneath and that are driving this behavior. And he's like, but I've been doing that. And I'm like, yeah, but you need to do more. And is that feeling of like, oh, I feel like I'm really doing this. And then you do some more and then you kind of realize, oh my God, I wasn't doing this at all. Does that resonate?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, many people don't want to go there and experience it because it's painful and they've just kind of shoved it down. So if I don't pay any attention to it, I don't acknowledge it, then I don't have to feel it. And then of course, then it's much more difficult to take the steps forward in order to correct it.
I was afraid too of doing too much. Like, oh my God, if I'm working on myself, Dan Kennedy calls it the head trip stuff. If I'm doing that all the time, then I don't have time to actually do the work. And in my experience, you can't do well. Yeah, well, let me correct that actually, because some people, I'm a very grounded person in the sense that I like to create things and make them happen in the world. My wife is more of like a ungrounded, and I'm not saying that in any judgmental and critical way, but she's very kind of connected to the vision and stuff. So her work is to be more connected to the ground and like pick one thing and do that and move forward and make things happen in that sense. So But for people like me who are good at doing stuff and getting things done, I don't think there is any limit to how much kind of head trip stuff you can do. You can't do too much of that stuff. Just dive all the way in there. If you spend like 3 months doing nothing else, I'm sure that would be like the best thing that you could possibly do for your business.
But at some point you did take action on it. You took that time to self-reflect, learn what you can, and then, continue to get that. And I'm sure every week you're taking action on what they're telling you. You're not just listening going, okay, that sounds cool. Now let me not do anything.
Yeah, no, but for me, taking action is what I always do, right? I can't not do that. So what I kind of need to do is take less action and more meaningful action. Like, for example, the software company I've worked on for the past, I don't know, 8 years or something, I think, and there's like, oh, what do I need to do? Well, I need to code this feature or do this marketing thing or do this or that and the other thing. And then like once you take that step back and you get out of action mode, that may be when you realize, oh, I need to make this video show that I'm doing now, right? Or I need to write music or these other things that are at a whole different level that you weren't seeing because you were so focused on the doing and like what kind of doing do I need to do that looks like the kind of doing that I'm already doing, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. As a matter of fact, in my schedule, I have 3 1-hour blocks that are called think time. And I think
it's beautiful. Yeah.
I just literally just go into a different room. Of course, there's no electronics or anything. And I'm thinking about something strategically. And it could have to do with a relationship. It could have to do with work. It could have to do with my fitness. It doesn't matter. But just kind of unplugging. I think that's so important. Yeah.
Thinking takes effort and time.
It does. And see, to me, thinking is an action. I'm doing something. I'm not watching TV or just kind of zoning out. It is. And it's a lot more difficult than it actually sounds because your brain starts to wander and it's like, wonder what's going. Do I need to check my email right now? Who's texting me right now, right?
Exactly, yeah. It's so much easier to read other people's thinking in terms of Facebook updates or books or whatever than to actually make your own thinking.
Absolutely. I think we're all trying to achieve happiness and fulfillment. What's the secrets to achieving happiness and fulfillment?
It's pretty easy. Be in the present moment, be with what you are, where you are right now, and be in your body first and foremost. That happens in the body. It's not a thought in your head. The thing is that happiness and joy is actually the natural state, right? A baby doesn't have to learn how to be happy. It's happy when it's happy, and it's upset when you're not feeding it. So it's looking at how am I making myself unhappy? I think we're very, very good at making ourselves unhappy. For a while, I had this thing where I was happy, and then my wife would look at me and she'd be like, you're happy today. And then immediately I'd be unhappy because I had this system going on inside of me that would kill my own happiness because, I don't know, I think I somehow learned when I was a kid that being happy was scary because I think it was threatening to my dad. And so if I was too happy and he was feeling miserable because he was doing some work that he didn't enjoy or whatever, then he would get, kind of threatened by it or something. And then he would come and scold me for being happy or find something to make me unhappy about. And that mechanism I was still carrying on. And I think just like all these thoughts that we have, like I should be, fitter or richer or have a bigger audience, or I should be more successful, or should be this or that. These are all ways that we make ourselves unhappy. And so, identifying those and choosing something else is a big key to happiness.
You stated something that I want you to clarify. It's being in your body, but not your head. Explain the difference between the two.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. It's really like most of us. This is how I lived. I lived from the neck up, and I didn't for many, many years did not even know what I felt, and it was just like one big jumbled mess. But I think I know that is one of the huge keys to life is to open that up so that we are aware of what we're actually physically feeling in the body, and that we remember to check in and feel it. Gay Hendricks, again, has this simple process that he calls the 10-second, his book is called The 10-Second Miracle, but the idea is to notice like 4 key zones of feelings, or really kind of 3-ish, but like the shoulder region is where we carry anger, and the heart region is where we carry sadness or loss or things like that. And then the belly is where we have fear. And then obviously below there, we have the sexual feeling centers. But just like checking in, like, am I feeling anger right now? Am I feeling some fear? Am I feeling some sadness? And it doesn't need to be about anything, but just like kind of scanning your body and checking in and being like, yeah, I'm feeling a little anger here. Wonder what I'm angry about. So if there's anger, there's been some kind of trespass of boundaries of some sort. And then like, I wonder what that might be about. But you don't need to make a whole story about it. Like, you did that, so I'm angry. But just not noticing the anger. And in general, just noticing what is actually going on in my body. Where am I feeling? Where am I holding tension? What's going on? What is my body trying to tell me? Do I need to get up and stretch right now? Do I need to take a break? Whatever. Another thing that Gay taught me was this. He had this saying of like, drop your mind into your body and your body into your mind. And I like that phrase, because it's like we tend to think that our bodies are somehow not part of the body, but allowing the head to be a fully integrate part of the whole of the body is the dropping the head into the body, or the mind into the body. And then the body into the mind, to me, is about like having awareness, letting your mind awareness be on your entire body. These things, breathing too, of course, but these things are so critical to find that happiness and joy. You can't be happy and joyful without having your body fully integrated into your life.
And I think focusing on the future or reliving the past also destroys that state of happiness as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's great advice. Be in the moment, and it's so easy.
Yeah, and just realize it's really your head making you unhappy. There's no other unhappiness other than your head. Even if you're in pain, even if you're terribly sick, it's your head saying that you shouldn't be in pain. It's your head fighting the pain or the sickness that's causing the unhappiness.
Calvin, you have 90 seconds to share with your kids some parting wisdom. What would you tell them in 90 seconds?
There is literally nothing that you have to do or become in order to be worthy of love. Love is there right now. Take it in.
Beautiful.
That was not really 90 seconds, but something like that. I think that's the key. That's the key to everything, is to be open to that love. That's already there.
I don't think it needs anything else. That's beautiful. Tell the audience how they can get a hold of you. Give us your contact information.
My personal website is at calvincorreli.com. And there's a mailing list there that you can sign up to. There's my show that you can watch, and you can see what I look like in person. And you can always hit reply on the emails on the mailing list, and I'll get it. And then there's also Simplero.com, which is the software that we talked about. If you sign up there, we actually do something that very few people do. We have this free trial that is you can keep for as long as you want. So it's not like you have 2 weeks or a month or something, and then you have to start paying. You can keep the free trial for as long as you want and play around with it, and then only when you need to actually start using it for real do you need to start paying for it. So yeah, and doing that will actually get you the Simplero Newsletter as well, which people tend to really appreciate.
I love that function, by the way. I was going through a system recently. I had to buy the system, and literally 2 hours after I bought it, I canceled it because it didn't meet the needs. So being able to try something out is awesome. Thanks for doing that. Yeah. What about any parting advice from the listeners?
Well, it would seem that it would probably be relevant to give the same advice as I would give to my kids, no? I think also, like, for entrepreneurs specifically, is like, find your own path and through this, right? Like, really don't chase success using anyone else's formula. Sure, you can learn and you can be inspired, but really check in and be like, does this really resonate with me? Does this feel like it's my way of accomplishing things? And trust that. Make up your own stuff. You totally can.
I tell entrepreneurs all the time, because I've been there, you get to an accomplishment that you thought you were chasing and was so important, and you get there and go, well, that was kind of cool, but there's got to be more. Going back to your vision You've got to have a vision for what you want your life to look like. And you've got to make sure, in my mind, make sure that you design what you're doing for a living in alignment and that it supports that vision, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of us grow up with these desires of things that we think we want, but that are not really what we truly want, right? Like, certain number of employees or success or revenues or whatever, or that, like, the house and the wife and the dog and like all these things or all that. Just like check in and make sure that you're not buying into someone else's dreams and that these are truly your own dreams.
Great advice. Calvin, thank you very much for being on the show today. I know the audience is going to get so much out of it.
Thank you, Thor. It was a pleasure. And thank you to your audience for listening and for staying through the end here.
Thank you very much. Every peak performer that has ever lived or will live does one thing extremely well. They know how to take their ideas and execute on them. Ideas and knowledge are not power, but the ability to execute on them, that is real power. If you consider yourself a peak performer and really want to take your game to the next level and truly master the science of execution, I would like to send you some information about our upcoming event, Business Execution Summit. Simply take your phone and text the word BESUMMIT, one word, to 41411. And I'll send you some additional information on how to master the most important skill you will ever acquire for your life or your business. Thank you so much for listening today. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope you found today's show valuable. If you would like to receive these shows automatically to your phone or to your computer, simply go to iTunes and subscribe. After listening to several of the shows, if you're so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating, as this helps us reach additional people and spread the message. If you're truly committed to taking your life to the next level and doing whatever it takes to become a peak performer, but something's holding you back, something is blocking your way, and you just can't seem to figure out what it is, send me an email to info@thorconklin.com, and I'd be more than happy to get on the phone with you. We'll schedule a 15-minute discovery call. No obligation, no cost. I absolutely love to hear from the listeners, and if there's something I can do to help, I'd be more than happy to do that. Also, if you found something of great interest in today's show and you want to share that with your friends and family, simply go to my Facebook page, Thor Conklin, click on the episode, hit the share button, and share it on your page. You can follow me at Twitter at Thor Conklin. The website is thorconklin.com. We're constantly adding new free resources, discussing additional tricks, tips, tools, and strategies on how to be a peak performer. Remember, I try to keep these episodes short so you can listen to them during dot time, doing other things, commuting, driving, walking, working out. Decide to be a peak performer in all that you do. And until tomorrow, have an absolutely amazing day.